get started. So welcome everyone who is live for this, as well as those who are listening or watching the recording. Happy you could join. And I hope over the next 45 minutes to an hour, you have some learning some new things, but also maybe some new revelations or some new takeaways. And before I get started, I know I'm a little bit dark here because I was trying to figure out if I was going to record in the kitchen with showing my actual fridge. But what I'm going to do is I've got everything set out here on the dining room table, so it's just kind of easier to grab and go that way. So I think it'll be better. But my lighting is not the greatest here. But anyways, just before we dive into that, I just want to kind of share sort of a few nutritional, I guess, philosophies. Just to kind of start off things. And, this is my 17th year now as a fitness professional. And even about 9 years ago when I wrote my book, I really, I think was more black and white when it came to like, this is what you need to do. This is what will get you the results. And now, I have another 10 years underneath my belt. I've just realized that nutrition is such an individual thing. And yes, there are many common like things that are generally good for most people. But, I know it sounds like a cop-out answer to say, oh, I can't tell you exactly what to eat, but really, you really have to experiment. And that's hopefully one of the takeaways tonight is if you're not, feeling good, if you're having bloating after you eat, or you're having, lethargia, or just not feeling great, or maybe you're breaking out, your skin's breaking out. A lot of those things are due to the foods we're eating. And you might be eating like, lettuce or salad or spinach, and that might not be good for you. So you really have to kind of take an individual approach and just kind of your own science experiment. But having said that, generally speaking, the less processed food we eat, the better off we're going to be. And so again, I could have taken you, opened up all my fridge, pantry and stuff, but I'm by myself here tonight. So I couldn't really do that very easily. So that's why I brought just about everything out. And you might think I left all the crap in the pantry, on all the unhealthy things. And there's a few things, but very, very little. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. If you were with me a couple weeks ago when I was sharing kind of how to start back from square one, I kind of shared a little bit about my story on December 3rd. I sort of hit my quote rock bottom mentally as well as physically. And since then, I've lost 18 pounds, just feel a lot better, have more energy, more positive outlook on life. And Tessa's also on this call. She's at a different place. And so I will have her unmuted because there's gonna be things, a lot of this stuff that you'll be seeing tonight, she buys. So she does most of the grocery shopping, pretty much all the grocery shopping, and does a lot of the cooking. So she'll chime in. And if you guys have questions, she'll also be able to see them in the chat box, and that might make things a little bit easier too from a conversational standpoint. So I just want to share those first few things. And like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, if you were here, my overall belief is that we need to make eating healthy as convenient, as tasty as we can, make eating unhealthy, eating processed food as inconvenient and hard to do. Because if it's just right there, like if you've got that bowl of M&Ms just sitting at your table and you like M&Ms, like it's just not going to work. And so you've got to watch your home environment. So that's kind of my preface. And so what I'm going to do here, let me just quick scroll through and see if there's anything else. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this around, and hopefully I'm going to start with my fridge, and I'm going to hold everything up here. So I'm going to start with the fridge, and then I'll flip it back around. We'll talk a little bit. We'll have some interaction, and then we'll go on to the pantry. So with the fridge, the keys for me at least is having fruits and vegetables as convenient as possible, pre-cut, pre-washed. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm lazy, and when I see all the vegetables in the like the vegetable crisper, but they're not cut up or they're not washed, like, I know it only takes me 1 minute, right? But it's just, I just don't eat it, and then it just goes to waste. And so that's one of the things that Tess and I really try to do. So let me just show you a few examples here. Clear Tupperware containers. And by the way, this is gonna be a question, interaction question here. If you want to answer it now, we'll do it in about 5 minutes. But what are your best tips for making the food the most visible or not wasting food? Just kind of like, how do you position, I guess, your fruits, vegetables, whatever you have in your fridge to make it as I don't know, convenient as possible, as efficient as possible? I'd love to hear from you on that, because that's something I still struggle with. So anyways, here's grapes, for example. They're washed and the stems are already taken off. So that's one thing that we just have in there. Clear glass containers. This is broccoli. So broccoli is cut up and washed, I believe, hopefully. And then I've got in here carrots and sugar snap peas. Like that. And then what else here? And then in this container, I've got cut up, no, you probably can't see it, but it's basically cut up bell peppers. So red and yellow bell peppers. I've got some tomatoes here, and I've also got, what else is in there? And some carrots in there too. But this basically was I was making fajitas the other night, and this is just leftovers from it. But again, cutting things up, and then you can just throw these in eggs, for example, saute them. But cutting, if you cut everything at one time, you're gonna be a lot more efficient as well. So batching different tasks is a really good way to be faster. So here's kind of our pre-cut stuff. Besides that, I've got more tomatoes, whole tomatoes, a really big cucumber. And then I'm sure most of you have different types of mixed greens. So this is an organic baby spinach one. And then your organic spring mix. So these are kind of our staples. We usually have the larger ones, but we have these all the time. We put the spinach in our smoothies. So that's one thing to get extra greens in, is putting the spinach in there. And then I like to try to make one salad a day generally. A couple more other vegetables. And of course, you really can eat any vegetables. I really don't think you should limit much anything. I mean, yes, maybe you shouldn't have 3 or 4 potatoes every day, but for the most part, we need to be focusing more on vegetables. And someone asked, how do you get them in? You make it more convenient. If you don't like the taste of vegetables, find different ways to prep them, find different ways to season them, and just try to incorporate them in different ways until you find what you really enjoy. And then here is asparagus, and Tessa wanted to let everyone know that this is some really fat asparagus. And if you've ever found that fat asparagus is really tough, what she does is she uses like a peeler and then kind of peels the lower half of it, and then it makes it really tender. And this is some amazing stuff. So what I love to do with asparagus is put olive oil, and then we sprinkle on some nutritional yeast. So if you've been following me for a while, you know nutritional yeast is one of my favorite things. I love it on my popcorn as well. It's great on eggs. It has really high B12 vitamins. It's even high in protein for what it is. And it tastes kind of like cheese. So if you've never had nutritional yeast, give it a shot. It's in every grocery store. So that's the vegetables. I'm thinking that's about, oh, we got a couple more. Okay. Well, here's another one. If you like beets, I'm not a big beet person myself, but Bo and Tessa, I'll eat them when they're there for me. But anyways, these are just beetology, and they're whole beets, and they're just super easy. They're already pre-cooked. You can just cut them up and put them in a salad, eat them by themselves. So we always have a bunch of packages of beetology whole beets.
So those are pre-cooked, and they don't have any they're not in like a brine, and they're not in vinegar. I know a lot of times beets are pickled, but there's usually at least one brand, and it's in the refrigerated section at the produce section in the grocery store. There's usually at least one type of pre-cooked, pre-peeled beet that's not pickled, if you're into that.
Okay, so our first big interaction is, assuming you're at home right now, I want you to go and grab salad dressings, maybe a couple of them, couple salad dressings. We're gonna look at those. And then anything that you have that you would maybe dip in, let's call it vegetables. So I got guacamole here, but maybe it's hummus or whatever. So I'm gonna give you guys about 2 minutes to run and grab whatever you want as far as salad dressings go, and any sort of dipping. And we'll talk about that. We're gonna read food labels. So 2 minutes, starting right now. I'm gonna get some water.
And while everyone's doing that, I'll just chime in here. A lot of you were asking about just hacks to make things easier or shortcuts. And I'm sure a lot of you know this as well, but I just thought I would mention it, that grocery stores have a ton of pre-prepped vegetables more so now than ever before. So I used to buy a whole head of broccoli, for example, or cauliflower, and wash it, cut it up. But now most of the time I just go for the ones that are pre-packaged, pre-cut. They're in, decent bite-sized bits. The one thing is that it's not always the freshest, so do look at the dates. So sometimes there's just not super fresh broccoli, bagged broccoli that's cut up, and that kind of stuff. So then I would go for just the whole head. You do pay a little bit more for it, but it's also just a lot more convenient. So there's that to consider.
All right, 30 more seconds to come back.
I think I'm late.
Welcome. And yeah, so what we're doing, if you just are coming on, is we are having everyone go and grab 1 or 2 salad dressings, and then anything that you use to kind of dip vegetables in, bring that over.
Okay.
And then also please mute yourself too. So mute yourself so we have the clearest thing. All right, awesome. Okay, so salad dressings, if you guys have been on my grocery store tours, we talk a lot about salad dressings. But one thing that I think is pretty much a universal thing that we want to limit as much as possible is like vegetable oil. So canola oil, safflower oil, what else? There corn oils, all those different ones are highly, highly processed. And I think, the studies that continue to come out, I think those might have, are as detrimental as really anything, excess sugar for heart disease, diabetes, all the different bad things that happen. And so what I want you to look at is in your salad dressing, I'm guessing a lot of them, you're going to find canola oil. So just look through your ingredients label and raise your hand if you see canola oil as one of the oils. All right, see some hands going up. Now, I know we've got everyone on mute, but if you don't have one that has a vegetable oil, okay, could you share the brand in the chat box, okay? So I've got a couple here that are from Primal Kitchen. Primal Kitchen is a great brand, and these are using avocado oil. And this is a vinaigrette, marinade balsamic. And then this one is a lemon turmeric. And there's no canola oils or any other types of oils besides avocado oil in this. So these are 2 good ones. There's others out there. There's not a ton of them. When you look through the aisle, it's mostly canola oils and different vegetable oils. I'm going to get close to the chat box here in a second to see if you guys have found any others. Let's see here. All right, so we got the 365 brand from Whole Foods, olive oil. So yes, olive oil is going to be very good. So basically olive oil or avocado oil are going to be your 2 main ones. That Walden Farms, okay, another one for Primal Kitchen. Bolt House. So again, I encourage you guys to take notes on these, and so you can research them yourself, so that when you're going to the grocery store next time, if you go in or if you order online. Salad dressing is balsamic vinegar and olive oil and avocado oil. Good. And you can, of course, make your own salad dressings as well. And there's lots of great recipes out there using olive oil as a base. Where is the nutritional yeast in the grocery store? So it's like Whole Foods would have it in the bulk section, but then it's also in what's Tessa? What's the guy's name? The brand? Bob's. Thank you, Bob. It's usually in the Whole Foods section, or in the health food section of the store, and they're in. There's different containers now. There's a lot of different ones out there. So looking through here. All right, any others here? Cool. Okay, so just being aware of that and trying to limit the amount of, again, canola oils and different processed oils out there that we're getting in. Now, if we're just having it here or there once in a while, it's not a big deal. But in most processed things, vegetable oil is in everything. So that's one area where we can look to improve is the salad dressings. Okay, so now looking at, hold up what you have for like your dips. So I've got my guacamole. Got the hummus. Yep. So hummus is the other one that we have a lot of. I think I've got it in the fridge. I just didn't grab it. So take a look at your hummus or guacamole and see if there's canola oil in it or another vegetable oil. So my guacamole is good. So give me a thumbs up if it's good or a thumbs down if you see canola oil. Got a thumbs up. Good. Any thumbs down? So a lot of different, so share if you have your hummus, what hummus brands out there do not have canola oil in it. So, okay, so Sambra, can you type that in the chat box? we have a Emily has a thumbs down. Type in the chat box so that people can take notes on this. And
do you mind if I ask what type of oil is in the Sabra one?
Is it olive oil?
I thought that one was canola or sunflower, but I could be wrong.
Tessa, which ones have the olive oil in them? Do you remember?
Whatever one is on the table.
I don't know if I have it. Maybe it's in the fridge still. Give me 1 second.
Barb's got a really good brand too.
Except this Lantana says half, it says a mixture of canola and olive oil.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a great point. So some of those have both, which obviously is going to be better than having no olive oil in it. Okay. Sorry. I did have it here. So this is Hope brand hummus, sea salt, and olive oil. So extra garbanzo beans, extra virgin olive oil, water, tahini, and a couple other things. So Hope brand would be a good one. Soybean oil is in Sambra. Bonzo hummus, I guess is good. Cool. So when you go and look for your dips, again, look for ones that have olive oil in them or none. Let's see, the Hope brand is thinner than other hummus, but it tastes great. So anyways, that's that. Any questions? So is soybean oil okay? So no, soybean and canola, very similar. So that's why try to limit that or reduce it as much as you can. Some of you guys have been part of our programs for many years, and Tracy Fountain was our kind of holistic nutritionist, and she always talked about those polyunsaturated. She goes, PUFAs make you puffy, if you remember some of those talks she gave. So trying to stay away from soybean oil as much as possible. So any other, I've got a couple more things here. So this is again Primal Kitchen.
Can I chime in quick?
Yeah, go for it. So
basically almost all guacamoles are going to be clean. I never really check the ingredients on those because they're all super clean to my knowledge. And then also in the section with the guacamoles and the hummus, you can also find those like dairy-based dips. So if you like a nice like ranch or whatever kind of dip, there's a lot of really good Greek yogurt or sour cream based options out there. So again, just read the ingredients because most of them do have canola oil or soybean oil as one of the first ingredients, but you can get ones that have, sour cream or Greek yogurt as the main base.
Yeah, so talking now kind of about mayo or a mayo substitute and Primal Kitchen. So again, you're going to look at those. There's going to be soybean, canola oil, right? For just about all of them. Primal Kitchen has a few here. Here's their garlic aioli and chipotle lime. And these are made with avocado oil. So really good. We use this, what do we use in Music Tessa? We make toast with this and put some tomatoes and maybe some grilled cheese on top, cheese and grill it. It's kind of one of our common ones we use with that. So those are kind of our dips and our fats.
And then a lot of you know this, but for cooking purposes, your olive oil is going to be best for cold applications, but it has a pretty low burning point. So you typically don't want to use olive oil for hot purposes, for hot things. If you're going to, cook up eggs or whatever it is, or any vegetables, meats, butter is going to be a good one. Coconut oil, avocado oil. Those are going to be good for hot applications.
Okay, cool. So let's move on to talk about carbs a little bit and tortillas. A lot of people like tortillas. This one right here, and here's a great example. Like, this is not a perfect tortilla, and I'll kind of read the food label, for example, but this brand is La Tortilla Factory. It's a low carb whole wheat tortilla. So reading the ingredients: water, oat fiber, whole wheat flour, got those good, soy flour, but then we have expeller pressed canola oil. So we got canola in here. It'd be great if they use olive oil. They don't. And a few other things in here too. So, again, we're going to get soybean. We're going to get those different oils in our diet. It's impossible to pretty much keep it completely out, but this is a decent one out there. But if you're getting any sort of, tortillas, looking for like whole wheat tortillas, just whole grain, having ones that have a good amount of fiber in them. I'm trying to see how much fiber is here. It's weird. They don't even say how much fiber. So that's one. Who has seen these things before? Egg Life tortillas. Anyone try these? All right. So
It's made out of egg whites.
yeah. So they're only 25 calories, 5 grams of protein, no carbs, and they're egg whites. And then they got xanthan gum, which isn't the greatest, but that's basically it. So if you were looking for a really low calorie option that's got high protein, Egg Life. Now they don't exactly taste like a flour tortilla, so don't get your hopes up, but they're not bad. So one of the things we eat with this, Bo loves it, is we just kind of make a little, I don't know, throw a bunch of vegetables in there, throw some, basically it's kind of a taco, right? That's kind of how we make it, Tessa. And then we put a little cheese in there, melt it in there with a bunch of vegetables, and then usually chicken or ground beef. But yeah, low calorie option. Connie says, do they taste good? They're all right. They're not bad. I wouldn't say they're the most
I
amazing.
really like them, but Dustin prefers his corn or his flour tortillas.
Yeah, but no, these are good. These are good. I'm just reading the comments here. All right, cool. And then I got celery too. Didn't pull that out. Okay, so then as far as fruits go, so my philosophy on fruits is, unlike vegetables, assuming you're looking to kind of lose or maintain weight, I wouldn't give you full reign to eat as much fruit as you want. It does have a lot of sugar in it. But I don't think that it's the best to have, no fruit. People on keto and stuff are really all about like zero fruit or very little. I think there's too many other positive benefits to fruit. So as far as fruit goes, very similar, just making it convenient. Looking at the glycemic index, if you are really concerned about weight and how fruits affect your blood sugar levels, keeping it to the lower glycemic, which if you don't know what that is or what that list looks like, just Google it and it'll kind of give the list. So we've got berries here, and then here's a key, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already do this, but just making your fruits and vegetables, just have it sitting out, right? Anywhere you see it. So we've got oranges, these little clementine cutie things. Oh man, these things are addicting. How many of these do you guys eat at one time? Anyone else have like 5 or 10 at 5 plus at a time? We always have avocados. They're never ripe, or they're always too ripe, but got those. We've got bananas, lots of grapefruit. Grapefruit are lower glycemic. And then we always have a bunch of apples. A lot of times they're in the fridge, but keeping this visible all the time, it's just easier to grab this stuff than, getting it in the fridge. So keeping everything visible. All right, let me keep going with the fridge. We're almost done with that. Okay, so this next part is a little bit more on the meat side here. So dairy-wise, cheese, we've just got different types of shredded cheese, different types of other cheese. You get fancy cheeses, non-fancy. my opinion on cheese, if dairy is okay for you, just have it in moderation. This bag right here is not that big, but it contains, actually, let's have a guess. All right, so this is 2 cups of cheese, 8 ounces. Okay, you probably all bought these before. Take a guess, how many calories? Just write it in the chat box for this entire bag.
And also, while you're writing that down, they do put a product on shredded cheese to make it like an anti-caking agent. So you are better off shredding your own cheese. That would be ideal, buying a block of it. But again, what's the word I'm looking for? Convenience. Convenience is also something to take into consideration. And for us right now, buying pre-shredded cheese is the option that we're choosing.
All right, so we got a bunch of guesses, and Margaret Williams, you're gonna be sorely disappointed here. She says it's 240 calories, 880 calories, 880 calories. So quite a few of you guys are pretty close. Some 800 guesses, some 1200, 900. Shannon, you almost got it right on. So nice. So anyways, it's a lot of calories, right? In a pretty small amount of food that you can eat pretty quickly. Okay, so let's do some meat now, and I'll be showing the freezer here in a little bit, but this is organic prairie, pasture-raised organic ground beef. Now, we also buy like a half a cow or a quarter cow locally, and so we usually have most of that as our beef source, but Tessa got this. So, we choose to spend our food dollars on kind of grass-fed type beef, organic dairy, basically any of our meat and animal products, because whatever the cows ate or whatever animal it is, we get the concentrated form of that. So that's kind of where we invest or spend maybe more of our food dollars in. So ground beef. Here is Castlewood, and this is sliced turkey breast, oven roasted turkey breast. And so the big thing here is there's no nitrates in it, right? So nitrates are not good for you. And there's a lot more brands coming out with this. So I would just go, not right now, we're not gonna do interactive, but look through if you do have any sort of processed meats, deli meats and stuff in the fridge, just take a look to see if there's nitrates or not in there. And these do not have it, and they're already sliced, so it's super convenient. So this is a great, one thing I've been doing is we've been buying these little mini, what do they test it? Mini cucumbers, right? Mini cukes, and then I just wrap one of these around it, and I just eat it. And I'll have like 3 of those, and super good. Maybe I'll put a little bit of hummus in that, and it's one of my favorite snacks recently.
So we've really talked about all the ingredients now. Like a go-to lunch for us are the wraps with some sort of protein that Dustin has mentioned, one of the dressings that we've mentioned, or one of the avocado oil based mayos, and then just a bunch of veggies. You can put some cheese on there, you can nuke it in the microwave, or Dustin's really been trying to shed a little bit of weight since December, so he'll skip the tortilla altogether and just put it on a base of a really big base of greens. It's been our go-to lunch a lot of days.
So Irene is asking, does Boar Heads have nitrates? Nope, Boar Heads does not have nitrates. That's a good one. Tessa, where do you buy the Castlewood meats?
That was from Aldi.
So Hormel, I can't believe Hormel has like the most quality meat, but there's no nitrates in it. So no artificial ingredients, no added hormones. Again, getting something local is going to be probably a lot better than this, but it's at least okay. And it's pre-cut and stuff for you. So, all right, cool.
Nitrate free. You can also look for like bacon is something you want to get nitrate free, and things like breakfast sausage, that kind of stuff. If that's something you eat, that is also best to be bought nitrate free.
So I'm generally a big believer that like fats aren't bad for you. We need fats in our diet. I know some people do better with low fat diets. So again, this is not a blanket statement. But if you are doing yogurt, for example, like a Greek yogurt, this is a Chobani. This is a whole milk, plain Greek yogurt. So things, if you're going to get yogurt, you want to look for is ideally plain, because anything that's flavored is generally going to be super high in sugar, or it's going to contain fake sugars like sucralose. And I think one of the questions was, why are fake sugars bad? so one of the things, it certainly increases your sweet tooth and your sweet craving, but it's not providing those calories. So you're gonna it's just gonna keep kind of, I don't know, your body's gonna keep wanting to have more and more sugar. So that's one part. And whether or not it causes cancer and different things like that, I think it's not convincing, but it's not natural. And again, we're trying to stay away from things that aren't natural. So trying to stay with plain, and then putting maybe some frozen fruit in it, or a little bit of, so someone might ask, what do we use for a sweetener? So here's 100% pure maple syrup. So this is one possible thing we use. We use honey, local honey, and then we also just kind of use regular cane sugar, as less processed as possible. And we use that, in moderation too. So those are ways to sweeten this up if you just can't down it. This is also great for sour cream. So if we have, I don't know, tacos, we've had tacos the last couple nights, so I'm thinking about that. We just use sour cream, or we use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. It works out well.
And it's all about your taste buds too. So Bo only we just only give him plain sour yogurt, and he loves it. We'll put a little fruit in it, or nuts, but that's all he's used to, Dustin, Heidi asked a question about your opinion on Impossible, which I believe is a meat substitute.
Yeah, so I don't know tons about it. Most of those meat substitutes are very, very processed. That would be my biggest concern with them, but I'm not I don't know enough about them to really speak to it. Is pectin okay? Pectin's okay. Yep, that's fine. Cinnamon's great. Siggy's is amazing and low sugar. Awesome. Cool. And then moving on here, I'm going to speed along a little bit. Eggs, we're a big fan of eggs. And we just get the local ones from where the Transformation Center. We used to get them there, but we go to the farm that if you're local to Madison, you can still pick them up from the guy. So we get our eggs from there. They're organic. Chickens are roaming free. Now they're getting fed, of course, right now because it's wintertime. But yeah, a lot better than normal eggs. And then we also, as far as convenience go, we have eggs that we have hard boiled and peeled. So this is just a great thing I like to sprinkle a little bit of salt on them and just pop them in my mouth as a great snack. Hard boiled eggs, they travel well, especially if you keep them in the shell.
You can buy pre-hard boiled, pre-peeled eggs at the grocery store. Super convenient, but they are super, super, super hard boiled, which we don't love. We like them a little bit on the medium side. So that's why we do it ourselves.
Barb's asking about the rotisserie chicken. Yeah, we think rotisserie chicken's great. It's a great one, super convenient, and a lot of great protein there. So absolutely. Speaking of chicken, this is just raised without antibiotics. It's organic, smart chicken, free range, which may or may not be that good. The definition of free range can mean a lot of different things, but we just cook this up a lot of times in a frying pan with a bunch of seasonings, and eat it, put it on our salads. Have it as a simple, quick protein source.
And we'll try and have that just cooked and ready to go all the time, so that you can just pull it out like those pre-cut veggies.
So as far as milk goes, again, if we are going to drink milk, we get organic, different types, whole. This is vitamin D, organic milk. We drink full fat, but if you want 2%, you could do 2%. And then unsweetened almond milk. So we have this sometimes as well. I put this in my smoothies more so. I've been trying to just reduce a little bit of my dairy intake. So getting one that is unsweetened, that's the big thing. If you're going to get any sort of, coconut milk, almond milk, any of the kinds of those alternative milks, get the unsweetened kind. So that's the main thing with that. And then what else here? So nuts. So I think for many people, nuts are really good. For some people, they're just not good. They just don't sit well. But we just have a jar here. Now, if you have a tendency, if this is like crack to you to have all these mixed nuts just sitting there on the table, you probably shouldn't do that. But I find myself, I'm good with like one handful of nuts, once a day or something. So this is just a bunch of different types of nuts that we just buy bags of. And generally we try to get raw. Unsalted would be the best, but some of these I think are roasted. I definitely see some salt in these as well. But we just have this, and our kids, especially Bo, really loves just grabbing a handful of different nuts, and trying to get a variety of nuts is ideal. So people are asking for like convenient snacks, go-to snacks. So here's one of my favorites right now. It has been for years. So just kind of an applesauce. So this is an an applesauce that has no added sugar. That's what you're looking for. It just has apples and water, right? But a lot of these have extra sugar, and it's already sweet. I don't get why they need to add more. So I love applesauce, but the thing with applesauce just is pure carbs, right? So we need to balance that out with some fats or protein. So what I put in this is I sprinkle a bunch of nuts in. So I throw some nuts in there, and then I use our hydrolyzed collagen. So I think a lot of you guys take this. It's a pure protein. Comes from pasture-raised beef, and it's tasteless, odorless, and dissolves in anything. So I put a scoop of this in, 10 grams, maybe I'll put a scoop and a half in, 15 grams, and mix that in with it. I can't tell it's in there, and that gives me some protein. And then I've got the nuts to kind of add the extra salt to it and kind of the extra crunch to it. So that's one that you can literally make in about 90 seconds. One of my favorites. And then peanut butter, if you could do peanut butter, get one that has just peanuts and salt in it. Do not get the ones that have canola oil or vegetable oil or hydrogenated oils. Just keep it natural, keep it simple.
Or sugar.
Or sugar, yep. And where do you get your cow? So we have a client, Rachel, who has her son raises cows, I think in Lodi. If you want that contact, let me know. Just send me a private message. I can put you in touch with her. But a lot of the farmers markets around here, there's just a lot of different farms, right? Local farms around here that you can get a cow or a quarter cow. One cow is big. We have a separate freezer for ours, and we get, I think, a quarter usually. Or you can split
quarter, and that was a ton.
Yeah, a quarter is about 100 pounds, I think, somewhere around there.
Also, a lot of different nut butters, so you can also experiment and see what you like best. So we always have almond butter and peanut butter, but there's sunflower butter. There's a lot of different options out there nowadays.
So when people make salads, one of the big mistakes people make is they just have a bunch of lettuce, and maybe they put on a little bit of dressing or something, olive oil and vinegar, and maybe throw on other vegetables, and they're hungry an hour later, right? I don't know if you ever found that out, but like vegetables and salad just don't have calories in them. So you need to beef up those salads with proteins and fats. And I already mentioned the chicken. So chicken, or I'll talk about it in a second, or tuna is one of my favorites. But I've been really loving different seeds that I put on. So here's Now brand, N-O-W, Now Real Food. Some of you may have seen these before. This is organic raw pumpkin seeds. So I throw pumpkin seeds on my salads, and it adds a really nice crunch. And then these are sunflower seeds right here. So just different types there's tons of different seeds out there. Sprinkle them on, gives me some really good fat, a little bit of protein as well. This is pistachio nuts. Now I always tell people pistachios, if you keep them in the shells or if you have to deshell them, you won't overeat them. Otherwise your thumbs are gonna hurt. So these are deshelled, so they're a little bit dangerous. So just make sure you don't go too crazy on them. And then they got like slivered almonds. So these are just kind of shaved raw almonds. That's another way to use it. We've got walnut pieces here. So just tons of different ways to throw nuts in a lot of things. Again, if nuts are okay. Some people just do not respond well to nuts. So I think that was it for those. We got cashews as well. And then, okay, so let me show you tuna. So some of you have heard my tuna story before where like in college, I was all about trying to put on as much muscle as I could and getting a lot of protein in. And for probably about a 3-year period, I think I averaged 2 cans of tuna every day. Probably not the best from a mercury standpoint. So now I try to have tuna like once a week, twice a week. And Tessa just found these recently. Have anybody with a show of raise a hand? Anybody had these Bumblebee kind of single serving packages? Anyone tried these yet? A couple people have. Some people are shaking their head. So they're convenient. They have different, so this is a sun-dried tomato basil. And then this is a roasted garlic herb. Yeah, same thing. But I like to put these.
You don't have to drain them.
What'd you say?
You don't have to drain them,
Yeah,
so they're just really convenient.
So you just eat it right out of the package, or it comes with actually, there's a spoon in here too. Otherwise, I put on my salad. So, but tuna from a can is great as well. Chia seeds, sometimes I use those from a smoothie, or you can sprinkle them on salad also. And then a few other just kind of staples. We don't do a lot of extra carbs, but brown rice, this is minute brown rice, whole grain brown rice, different, longer than the quick ones too, are really good. I've got quinoa somewhere around here. Where's my quinoa? I don't know. It's here somewhere. We have quinoa for a great grain. And then, I don't see it. And then here, anybody had Wasa crackers before? Some people have had Wasa, right? They taste kind of like what I imagine cardboard tasting, but they have like a satisfying taste to them, I think. And so one of my go-tos, okay, is to put this, have these with pesto. So pesto, spread that, and then I have thinly sliced tomatoes. Sometimes I'll just eat it like that, or I'll put cheese on top of it. And if I'm really hungry, I'll have like 6 of those. But even just like 2 of them, super good, super tasty. So Wasa crackers, these things, if you're gonna have a cracker, this is about as healthy as you get. The ingredients is whole grain, rye, flour, yeast, and salt. That's it. So very, very basic ingredients. Okay, so if you're vegetarian, this is plug your ears for a moment. But I love like beef sticks and different things like that. I just think they taste amazing, and they're portable. So this is Strive, S-T-R-Y-V-E. Raise your hand. Anyone try these before?
They're
So biltong. So these are biltongs. Yep. They're 14 grams of protein per. Super tasty. My kids love them.
So biltong, I feel like I saw Rachel's face go, what is that? Biltong is originated in South Africa, and it was the way that in South Africa they dried and cured their meats. And it's almost more like beef jerky than it is beef stick-esque. But now you can get it all over the United States. And it's a lot higher protein content than just a normal beef stick. So I think it's 15 grams of protein in the biltong sticks.
Yeah, 14.
14 versus most beef sticks are like 8 to 12.
So here's another one, and this is more of a beef stick, and this is Vermont brand, and these have 6 grams of protein per, nitrate free. So as you can see, we have like a lot of them that we have, and again, the kids love these, and they're super easy, grab and go. Kodiak Cakes. Who's had Kodiak Cakes before? Get your pancake fix on, right? So these are good. A lot of you have had them. If you haven't had them before, again, I wouldn't have pancakes every day because they're high carbs, but these are very high in protein as well. Per serving, there's 14 grams of protein per serving here. So where do you buy Now brand, Tessa? Oh, you already answered it. Natural Food Aisle, Woodman's. Where do you get the beef steaks? Tessa,
I think Dustin's referring to the beef sticks.
Oh, sticks.
We happen to do most of our grocery shopping at Woodman's and not Aldi, but any grocery store is going to have really nice options in their natural food aisle for beef sticks or biltong sticks. And they have all sorts of things out there now: chicken and turkey and bison and probably some impossible type meat alternative ones too.
Okay, so rice cakes. These are whole grain rice cakes. So the only ingredient in this is brown rice and sea salt. These things they're not good. They're not bad in my opinion. There's not a lot to them, but if you have 1 or 2 of them and they kind of help that crunchy craving, then I think they're fine to have. I like to have them once in a while. I'll have a couple of them, but I wouldn't try to like live off these things. And then another higher carb, Tessa, I don't know, this is a Dutch thing. Is muesli a Dutch thing? I don't know.
European?
Maybe. Her dad eats it every day. So this is homemade, and it's huge. And do you want to kind of explain, Tessa, what's in there?
Sure. So it's muesli. I just wrote it down. You can buy muesli in the natural food aisle at any grocery store pre-made. Basically, it's kind of a lean version of granola. So there's no added sugar in it. It's just oats. And then typically dried fruits and nuts. So like the kind that I make is just quick oats. And then I put in there, and I don't cook it or bake it or anything. And I put in just a bunch of seeds and nuts and raisins. And then you can have it with milk or a milk substitute. So it is a higher carb start to your day, but if you are, especially like when Dustin comes back from a really long run or bike ride, it's a good way for him to just replenish those carbs in a quick manner. And it's just super clean.
Okay, cool. So moving on, we've only got a few more minutes left here. So I'm going to talk about freezer section now. Staple for us are lots and lots of frozen fruit. So especially in the winter, and we have it all the time, but especially in the winter time when it's maybe not as easy to get fresh fruits. Frozen fruits are just as good, if not better, than fresh, because it's picked at the peak of ripeness and then flash frozen. So we've got that. I've got mango. Yeah, these are mostly for smoothies, or we'll put them in yogurt and kind of mix it up with that. If you've never had this before, avocado chunks, really awesome. Put them in your smoothies. They taste amazing. Get some really good healthy fats in there. Now, of course, you could just use regular avocados, but again, they're either too ripe or they're rock hard usually. So this at least is ready to go. So this is from Whole Foods 365 brand. Bread. So I know a lot of people love bread, and they're always wondering what the best breads are. We don't eat a ton of bread. Like Tessa said, like I'm doing 15 hours a week of cardio, so I do need a decent amount of carbs. And what we're looking for is whole wheat bread. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. So if you see anything that says enriched wheat, that means it's no good. So looking for whole wheat. This right here, and most of them are going to be in the frozen section because they're not shelf stable, right? So this is from the freezer. This is earth-friendly wheat bread. It's one brand. We've also got
Ezekiel is another one that Dustin's mentioned a lot, and that Tracy Hittman to mention a lot. Ezekiel's sprouted bread, and that's also going to be in the freezer section, the freezer section in the bread section.
So here, so these are bagels. Again, something we don't have all the time, but kind of a treat. This is epic. Everything's organic. The brand is Dave's Killer Bread. Where do you find this, Tessa?
Yeah, that's at Woodman's in the non-refrigerated section.
Organic wheat is the first ingredient. So that's one.
Angelic bread is good. They make some really good sprouted options too.
Yeah, Angelic's great. Okay, so these are not the healthiest things around, but they're nitrate-free turkey sausages. Okay, turkey sausage. Again, just talking about convenient stuff. This is very convenient. We have a bunch of different, so here's just frozen chicken, pink salmon fillets, wild caught frozen pink salmon fillets, frozen ahi tuna, Applegate is a really good brand for just kind of their meats and stuff. So this is organic, no antibiotics. And yeah, so these are spinach and feta chicken sausages. But Applegate's a nice brand. I don't know if anyone else likes bacon, but once in a while, special treat bacon. Like that. And then frozen vegetables. So these are just peas, but we try to have a bunch of frozen vegetables. One of my favorites is frozen spinach. One of my favorites, but yeah, frozen vegetables, just like frozen fruits, can be really good when things are off season. And this is kind of from our cow. So this is just ground beef from a Lodi sausage company that processed it. So these are 1 pound ground beef. Tilapia, frozen tilapia patties, super easy to make. And then lastly here, there are some frozen containers here, but basically this is a free plug for one of our clients, Jennifer. But Jennifer, she's helped us with our cooking for probably 5 or 6 years now. And what she does basically is she has this huge, like 200 items, menu items, whatever, recipes. And we just kind of pick from them, or you can give her a different recipe. And then she'll deliver it to your house pre-made and pre-packaged for you. And she goes and shops at any place you want to. So if you want to do Aldi or if you want to do Woodman's, that's usually where we go. If you want to do all Whole Foods, like she'll go and shop wherever. Super affordable. You probably are saving money because you're not you're not buying things that you're not going to use, because and so we usually keep about 6 or 8 of them in the fridge at all times, and then we have the rest in the freezer. So I probably have about 30 of these in the freezer right now. This one looks like an egg bake right here. So if you guys want her information, she delivers around the Madison area. So just let me know, send me a message, and we can get you that as well. So I've got 7 minutes left here. I'm trying to think if there's
questions from the beginning.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, Bo. Hey, buddy.
So someone was asking.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey,
I
Bo.
watch this, Mommy.
Hold on. Looking for new ideas tend to do the same thing.
This, Daddy.
I think that's just going to come down to just checking out new recipes before you go grocery shopping, and just committing to trying new recipes. I think that's the only way. I don't know if you have other thoughts on that, Justin.
So one thing I tell people is to make a rule or something that every week you've got to try 1 or 2 new recipes, or you got to try a new vegetable or try a new fruit out. Just something to get newness, spice things up a little bit. Go online, find a new recipe. Obviously there's so many different places out there online that you can go and find something new. But I also think it's important to have those staples, those go-to things that are just kind of your things that you enjoy eating, and they're easy, they're healthy, they're clean, they're convenient. So having a bunch of those options, I think, are really important to lasting. So Kim asked if I don't recommend limiting shade vegetables like Tom Brady. Again, I think some people can handle them better than others, and that's something that I don't think they're inherently bad. So you'll just have to try it, experiment with yourself and see. Usually give something about 3 to 4 weeks before you decide if it's a good thing or not. Kathy asks, how often do you go shopping? Looks like you have tons stored up. You can answer that, Tessa, but I would say you go twice a week, probably one big.
Once to twice a week, but we do have an extra freezer with that cow. So we just have a ton of frozen meats and vegetables that we also keep on hand.
Yeah, and then let's see here. Is the cow pasture raised? So it's grass fed, but grain finished. So in an ideal world, it would be better probably if it's grass finished too. It's just hard, especially in the northern climate, to have that. So a little bit of grain at the end, I'm okay with, but there's some purists out there that want only grass finished the entire thing. So see, I'm just kind of scrolling up to see.
I asked too about how to kind of fight cravings at night, especially sweet cravings. Dustin's been really good at brushing his teeth after dinner, like not before bed, but just after dinner, go brush his teeth. And then I think that's worked really well for you to just kind of be like, all right, I brushed my teeth, I'm not going to eat anymore. Yeah, and then the big thing here is, again, I could show you everything else in the fridge and freezer. We have a little bit more. It's not so much what is in there, it's what's not in there. I mean, we do have frozen pizzas in there, and I'm not ashamed to admit that or anything like that. But overall, there's very few processed things that we have in this house. And so if we want to go for craving something, we have to go to the house and get it. And that was kind of the problem right before it kind of started, getting back on track, was we kind of let things slip, and there was always ice cream in the house, and there's always treats and candy and just different things, chips all the time. And I just got in the habit of eating it. And that's how I gained the weight, and I wasn't moving as much. So more important than having, it's important to have the healthy stuff there, but I think even more important just to not have the unhealthy stuff around. And that's the biggest, challenge, I think, for a lot of people, especially people who have families, and maybe other people do the grocery shopping, or at least have some input in it. That can be a lot of contention, a lot of stress. I know when, if the spouse is the one that's doing most of the shopping, and they're not liking, or you're not liking what they're buying or whatever, it can be really tough. So I don't have an answer to that necessarily, but you guys got to figure it out as a family, what's best, and how to kind of compromise, if that's getting a second fridge in a different area, or a different pantry where the unhealthy stuff is kept for other people, whatever it takes. You've got to take control of your home environment to make it as easy as possible, so you're not constantly having to use self-control.
to do everything. So, so I've got about 2 minutes left. Any last minute questions? Last minute questions we have here. Thoughts on chocolate? So chocolate, if it's dark chocolate, 78%, 80% plus cacao, I think it's great. It's great antioxidants. Just watch the portion size a little bit on it. But, I just find that if I have 1 or 2 pieces of chocolate, especially milk chocolate, it just triggers me. I had this, so some of you guys heard this story before, but I had an addiction for probably 6 months with chocolate chips. So what would happen was there's chocolate chips above the fridge and freezer, but I'm tall enough so I can see them all the time. And I would just always see them. So I would, like, late at night, I would eat a handful of chocolate chips, and then I would want milk, right? So you drink a cup of milk, and then you want more chocolate chips, and then you want more milk, and then you want chocolate chips. And I would go through like 4 or 5 cycles of that. I'd probably have a cup of chocolate chips and like probably a quart of milk. And so I told Tessa, like, we cannot have chocolate chips anymore in the house, because for me it's a trigger. But if it's just like high, yeah, if it's a high cacao, have a little piece of that here and there, that's great. 1 is too many and 10 is not enough, Annette says, for sweets. I hear you on that one. So cool. Well, we will wrap that up. Yeah, I think that's about it. So cool. We got 7:30 in the dot. So again, thanks so much for being here live. Hopefully that helped. If you have more specific questions, feel free to email, send me a Facebook message, whatever way. Love to keep the dialogue going. But if you haven't been on a grocery store tour, someday again we'll have them. Come on one. I think it's one of the best things we can do. But the battle for our health, for our weight, for just everything, really is I think started at the grocery store and then carries over to your freezer, your pantry, your fridge. And if you don't have control over that area, it's going to be a really, really, really hard thing to be fit and healthy for the rest of your life. So that's my final words there. So thanks everyone for being on and investing an hour of your time. Thanks for all your support. If you're not a client and you're looking to learn more about the Transformation Center, just again, send me a message and we can connect offline. So have a wonderful rest of your evening. Enjoy the snow if you're here in the Madison area, and we'll see you soon. See ya.